Welcome to the Smith Sisters Talk Show. I'm Gwen.
And I am Crystal Smith.
And the topic of our today's show is Know Thyself by knowing your family's history. And Chris has a prayer for us today.
Okay, audience. In the hardest moments of our lives, God is fighting for us. Isaiah 43:2. When you pass through the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, and the flames shall not consume you. As Christians, we need to all do this. Seek spiritual support. Friends, relatives, neighbors, whomever. Reach out to your fellow believers and encourage them and pray with them. Community can offer the strength you need to keep us going. I have a friend named Brenda. We pray and we constantly talk about God when we have conversations. Because somewhere during the week I've missed praying once a day. I pray in the morning and I pray at night. But during the day I like to make mention of God. Maxie, she's another prayer warrior. And Lenora. And we need to do this. Everybody needs support.
Yeah, and Chris just wants to say a family that stays together, prays together, stays together. So we all need to stay focused. So again, the topic of our today's show is Know Thyself by knowing your family history. By knowing your family history, so many times we look forward to where God is taking us without honoring the roots of where we came from. Our ancestors survived the storms. They kept the faith and planted the seed so that we could enjoy the fruit today. To help us unlock those hidden generational blessings, we have a very special guest in our studio sitting here with the Smith sisters. We have Miss Gaynell Brady, and I'm going to read a little bit about Miss Brady's background. Gaynell Brady is a founder of Our Mammies, LLC, a historical interpretation and organization that shares African American history through genealogy and genealogy at large. So I just want to let the audience know her specific venue is African American history, but she can do a genealogy on anybody, okay? So she does storytelling, material culture, and preservation. She is a certified interpretive guide. Gaynell uses genealogy to connect people with their lives and experiences of their ancestors and to help communities preserve the stories and places that carry their history. Her work focuses particularly on African American women whose contributions have been overlooked and reduced to stereotypes. Through Our Mammies, she encourages people to explore their family histories, understand the people who came before them, and recognize the importance of preserving both tangible and intangible connections in the past.
So would you say hello to the listening audience?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me.
Could you tell us how long you've been a genealogist?
Oh, I would say officially I've started my genealogy work in 2007, but I was inspired to do this work after spending a lot of time asking my grandmother's questions in their kitchens and living rooms.
Would you tell us how they could contact you?
Sure. The best way to reach out to me is through email at ourmammies@gmail.com, or you can send me a text to 504-264-2353.
Okay, why do you feel genealogy is important? And what can learning about our ancestors tell us about ourselves and the communities that we come from?
I would say I didn't really understand who I was as a person until I got to know my ancestors. Of course, I spent time in my younger years talking with my grandmother, and I would always ask her questions. But it wasn't until I understood my grandmother's background and where she came from, where she was born, that I started to understand what structured my grandmother to be the person that she was, which helped me to better understand the person that I am. I understand that without them, there would be no me. So understanding that their strengths and where they drew their strength from, my family was very grounded in the church. Our family church was uptown, Second Nazareth Baptist Church. It no longer holds service, but I know that that place was their rock. It was their church. It was their school. It was the place where they cooked and shared family traditions. So it is very important in understanding why we did things the way that we did, why going to grandmother's house to church on Sunday was important, and where all of that came from.
I think that is important that you had a connection with your grandmother so she can tell you about her mother, because that's what genealogy is about, lineage and connecting dots of who you are and who was, sometimes they call her Medea or
Yes.
Big Mama, all right?
Yes.
So let's talk about that. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Crystal.
so that was actually my grandmother's nickname, Medea.
All right.
I think it's a blessing that we're here today. We've survived a lot. We're going to go through
Yes.
a great deal of ups and downs in the future. And if we can pull on the strength of our ancestors, the older generation can explain to us how they got over and how they came through the atrocities that they did. In reference to sports, they got a coach. Your ancestors are your coach. It could be your grandmother, it could be your cousin, it could be anyone. But when they give you strength, you transfer that to the other person. I remember when my mom died, my
Right.
cousin George, he explained to me how difficult it was for him, and he was a man, when he had to, I think, break the bones up because his great grandmother had died,
Right.
and you have to break the bones up, I think, and then push them back because there's another person who has died.
Is that right, Ganelle, when they're breaking them back, and we have to push them back in the mausoleum?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and but, it's a part of life. It's a part of our traditions.
It is. And he was telling me how he's a very astute, very wealthy man. He was telling us how he had reverted back to all the deep memories that he had with his grandmother. And that's why we think genealogy is
It's
vital.
very important. So, Ganelle, how can we make genealogy and family history relevant and engaging for children? Because, children, sometimes, they want to know, and sometimes, they don't. But the young adults, the people that go to college, the people who are maturing into the adult level, how can we get them to see themselves as part of the story rather than history as something that happened a long time ago?
I would say make it relevant and get them involved. So when you visit the family cemetery, take them with you. When you go to clean the graves, take them with you. If you're here at the studio, you take them with you. And that's what I do. I keep my son with me. When I'm going to the archives, I let him be a part of a discovery process. Like, hey, this is the record that we just found. This is the record that we found on your grandfather. This is where you got your name from. So I think it's important to keep them involved throughout the process and explaining to them how this is relevant, why we visit this house, where did this house come from. It's not just visiting the family farm, but how did we get the family farm?
That is important.
So I think just getting them involved, getting them in the studios with you, getting them anywhere where your history is, take them with you. Don't just take them when you're towards the end of life. Get them involved while you're living your life.
And you brought up a very good point. I used to hear some of what my cousin George would talk about, but after our mom died, and he was explaining the history of the grandmothers, and he really didn't think this generation we were coming from would even be interested. But I am, and there are others out there that are. And if you can pull strength from them to carry on with all these ups and downs, bumps, whatever in society, God is good.
And again, the topic of our show is Know Thyself by Knowing Thy Family History. And we have Ganelle Brady here, who is a professional genealogist. So if you're not tuned in, turn on your radio and go online to WVOG and hear this conversation. It's going to get very interesting.
Okay, what records are most likely to exist for our families?
Just like any other family, in terms of African American history or just anyone's history at this point, I learned genealogy really by working with Sal Serio at the Jefferson Parish Library. And Sal was a specialist in Italian research. And the one thing he told me, all of these stories, when we're working backwards, they kind of start the same. We all have to start with the 1950 census. We all use obituaries. We all use census documents. And start there. Start with your census document. Most important, start with your own story and start with your parents' and grandparents' stories if you still have them with you.
Okay, you talked about your grandmother and how important that was for you to talk to her while she was here. How does faith guide your work with genealogy, history, and the stories of the people who came before you, Gaynell?
I think the one thing that I've always had to my advantage is the ability to listen.
You're
and
right.
when wisdom is speaking, I always listen. And, for me, my conversations with God happens in the middle of the night. I remember you asked me the other day, when are you available?
Right.
I'm always available because if I get the urgency to be up and listen and read and I have to spend time with the word, then that's what I'm going to do. That's the thing that keeps me strong. It's the thing that kept my grandparents strong. And so if it wasn't for my faith, I couldn't do this work today. If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be doing this work. He called me to do it, and I answered. I'm happy to be obedient to listen.
Well, I just want to put this little tidbit in since we're talking about genealogy, and Gaynell is on our show today. Gaynell, you might not know we're the only two African-American siblings on radio who are producing their own radio talk show in Louisiana, right, to my knowledge. So we are making history with Gaynell Brady right now. Crystal.
Okay, in reference to the young people and young adults, they're always on the internet anyway. So it's time for them to do some research about who they are, not about a superstar. He's got enough money.
That's true.
He's not going to give you anything in return. And he is going to dedicate as much of his time to his family. So we need to dedicate a portion of our time to our family to learn certain things such as meals, how to prepare meals the way our ancestors used to prepare.
Grandma and grandpa, go ahead.
Used to prepare things, because when we would go there for various holidays, we would always say, "Oh, they cook so well. Oh, Mom, this is really good." So we need to have a conversation with the ones who are that came before us, and at that point, we can say, "Okay, I learned it direct." As the football players learn from the coaches direct, we need to learn from the ones that gave birth to us, the ones that we are in their family lineage, and that's vital.
Let's talk about that little recipe that our family shared with us. I know we have different aspects. I know your mama or grandmother taught you how to make pecan pralines, right?
We call them pecan candy, but yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
She's actually loud. That's true.
Yeah.
So my father come from an area where your family is from, Punkapee Parish,
Yes.
and he taught me how to put pecans, that's okay, in this jar and drench it with blackstrap molasses, whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
There's a lot of that near Glen, Louisiana, but yes.
Yeah, and it was delicious. I was like, wow, this is different, but it's good, and it was simple to make.
And as she speaks of our father, who is deceased, he would be playing his instrument in the backyard. He was a Baptist, my mom was a Catholic. And Gwen would be the one sitting there and she was trying to sing. She was not doing very well at that time, as I've spoken to some artists who say that they won Grammys at this point, but there was someone listening to them prior to.
You had to practice to make perfect. Go ahead, Crystal.
Of course you had to practice, because when you went to NOCA, it was vital that you guys practiced.
Every day.
And you listened to the instructors because you wanted to get a good grade. Well, we need a personal relationship with God, because we're going to be graded too. When and why did you not become closer to me When I am your strength, I am your source of power, I am everything.
Again, we're talking about know thyself by knowing thy family history. We have a professional genealogist here, Gaynell Brady. So, Gaynell, I want our listening audience to chime in on this next question. What records are most likely to exist for families?
As I mentioned earlier, it's most likely like you're going to start off, if you're a new genealogist, you're going to start off with your census documents. You're going to start off with your church records, especially if your family's been a part of a church for a long time. So understanding what records that your church has is very important to your history. In addition to that, it will be your newspapers.
Very good.
Your obituaries. Yes. Those are like your easiest places that you can access through your local public library, no matter what parish you're in.
That's and good. What else would be the next level past that you can access and get information from?
Well, once you have that, and once you've built out your tree, then you start that process of analyzing your data, and you can use like DNA testing to confirm information. And also, it depends if you're talking about enslaved individuals, you'll start to lean on to probate records. And that also applies to if you're looking for property that your family once owned, you'll need the courthouses to deal with that. So it just depends on what level you are. But for the most part, most of the people that I speak with, they're beginners. So I would say to start with the people who are still alive who can verify that information. And you'll take your oral history and compare it against census records. Once you've had a tree built, then you can head to the courthouses and start to look through your newspapers.
I'm glad you said that, because when we first met you, I was curious about what was my grandmother's name on my mother's side. And guess what? I found that out, Gaynell. But I didn't want to get intimidated by doing the research of genealogy. So I said, I better get somebody to do this for me.
And she did.
And I did, and I paid them to do it because it got a little bit tedious and a little bit detailed.
But
Chris?
So much information is online now that they can start, as she said, start with the family, do your family tree. And from that, you can, it's like doing a term paper. From that point,
it is.
You go on and do other research. We're on the internet anyway.
Yes.
Right. And again, I just want to reiterate our topic of our show, and I hope everybody's tuning in. If not, call somebody, tell them to tune in on the radio or go online. And guess what? Later on, we're going to be uploading our radio show, right? So I just want to find out, since we're talking about Grandma, Medea, and Big Mom and all that, what are the biggest gaps in our family trees, and how do we fix the unknown spaces, Gaynell?
I would say for any family tree, the biggest gap is when someone lied. And that's because, for whatever reason, people did what they did. And I don't judge people by what happened back then. So the way that you fill in that gap is with the simple DNA test. That's when you start to unravel and you start to uncover things. So sometimes you may be researching someone and it's not going right. And it's probably because you were given some information that doesn't quite make sense. It doesn't quite match. And so when you take a DNA test, you will see your family. You will see your relatives. And then you'll start to plug those people into the tree that you've already made. And then it'll all make sense.
And how can anyone get in contact with you that's interested in genealogy?
Sure. I would recommend that they email me at ourmammies@gmail.com. I usually can answer those fairly quickly. Don't be surprised if it comes through at 2 a.m. in the morning.
That's okay.
That's the way that the information comes. Phone calls, those are a little bit harder for me to answer, but there is someone available that will answer your call and make sure that the information gets to me. But ourmammies@gmail.com is the easiest way.
Okay, let's talk about if my grandmother's last name shared the same last name in Punkapee Parish and of the same Smith. How would I discern or differ which one belongs to me?
Oh boy, those Smiths, Johnsons,
yes, I know.
Landrys,
yes.
All of those are common names in Louisiana, and the only way, and I mean the only way you can really say 100% that that's your Smith is with DNA, and somehow trying to go through your matches, looking through the other person's matches and confirming how you're related and adding those people to your trees to confirm what you have. Just because you share the last name, it doesn't mean that you're actually related.
That's true.
Because in small country towns, some people will call you cuz, and they'll say cousin. And I remember we had gone out to the country for some on an Easter holiday, and because they called our mother because we didn't know we were not related to them until someone
It's
pulls us
true.
on the side and says, we used to do that because we were all unit. We were
Right.
one unit. They
Yes.
helped each other. And when there was a crisis in the family, like a death, they would raise money,
Correct.
giving suppers or doing whatever was needed to do because they were a unit. Just as the Indians, the Native Americans, they were a unit. And when we forget how important a unit is to a family, we've lost it. We've got to get back to the basics because it's vital. It's the only way we can survive.
Okay, and back in the day when I first met Gaynell, I was telling Gaynell that I was a part of the Chitimacha Indians from Iberville Parish. I know they had like big heads and everything. People used to tease them about the big heads. But anyway, that was relevant to me to know where that Indian lineage, came in our bloodline from our mother's side, and that was very important. They were all over Iberville. And did they extend to Punkapee Parish, your family's area?
So I don't have any direct connection to them, to my knowledge, but I can, just imagine. I mean,
That's
wherever
true.
people migrated. I mean, those parishes, they don't have like clearly defined lines. Like,
That's true.
especially in those small rural towns. Like, you network with people, you traded with people from all over. So don't be
Correct.
surprised by what you find on your tree. Your tree is your tree, but don't claim someone else's ancestors. Claim your own.
That's right. And again, the topic of our show is Know Thyself by Knowing Thy Family History. Again, we're talking to the professional, amazing Gaynell Brady, who is a professional genealogist.
And how long have you been doing this again?
I have been doing genealogy, I would say professionally since 2007. That's when I built my first tree. But I've been doing our mammies since 2013.
So there is information out there.
Yes.
So you look it up. You will know for yourself if this is a good fit. And if it is, you need to contact her. What is that information again to how to contact you?
Sure. Reach out to me at ourmammies@gmail.com or shoot me a text at 504-264-2353.
Okay, so in hindsight and thinking about this whole show, I want to tell the listening audience, our family who listen to the Smith Sisters Talk Show, you are not an accident. You are the answer to a prayer that was prayed 100 years ago or more. Walk in that authority this week. Thank you to Gaynell for coming over here and being with us today on her busiest schedule she took out, okay? We're sharing her gift with us. Keep up with her work at our mammies, right? And start digging into your own roots. Keep the faith, family. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord shine his face on you and give you peace.
Okay, Gaynell, how do you reach out to the, high school students and young adults?
Well, as you can tell, today I brought my son Benjamin here with me. I keep him involved.
Good.
When we go to the archives, I keep him involved. But the way that I reach out to the students when I visit the schools, I bring my documents with me. I take them with me so that they can actually see them and understand how I put together my tree. And from that point, they're inspired to find their own story. And I work through Family Search and Ancestry.com with them so that they can start to find their great-grandparents on the tree.
Okay, how do you deal with the high school students specifically?
Are they interested, really?
They are. They are.
I'm shocked.
My absolute
Okay.
favorite high school. Shout out to Carver High School. They
All
are
right.
my favorite high school to work with in New Orleans. But those kids, they're fantastic. They're interested. They're engaged. And their teachers make space for them to do this work. So, yes, I go in with all of my stuff, all of my documents, and show them how to find their own documents. And they're inspired because they're calling their grandparents
Right.
while
Really?
I'm in the classroom with them. Yes, they're
Wow.
amazing.
Wow. What about the teachers? Are they participating as well
Yes,
about
of
the
course,
genealogy?
yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
no, that's good.
They're incorporated into all of their classes. Like I've had one session where one time the history teacher was there, but this was for one of my other good friends, Dawana Calise, Dr. Calise now. She invites me to come to her school twice a year.
Wow.
So I go to high school twice a year. I didn't get to go last year because I had a lot of medical stuff going on, but if I can show up, as you can tell, I will show up.
Yeah, I am so happy for that. And we just like to give you just food for thought, just to think and ponder our talk show today. And this is what I want to say to our family and listening audience. What a powerful spirit-filled 30 minutes this has been with the amazing Gaynell Brady. We have learned today what your family history isn't just a list of names on a piece of paper, not just on wills and what have you. These people really lived, and our ancestors really lived, and it's generating back to the 1800s, but we're bringing it forward through Gaynell's teaching on our family tree. It is the living blueprint of God's faithfulness passing through generations. Your ancestors prayed for the day that you are living right now. What do you think about that, Gaynell?
Well, it speaks to my spirit. I know that they're always with me. I'm happy to have so many people who love me and just, share this gift with me. I'm grateful for God to keep me covered and protected while I do this work.
And as I said, it's vital that you get with some believers, and they will encourage you, especially at a time that we're going through, that will be coming in the future, and we are presently in, the lack of jobs, gas going up, the everyday responsibilities that we have, and we have children and grandchildren and fellow people in our neighborhood. So please pray with them. Help them in reference to prayer, in reference to if you hear about a job out there, you may know of one and it would help.
Okay, I just want to tell everybody to continue to tune in to the Smith Sisters show on every Friday evening from 6:30 p.m. until 7 p.m. on WVOG 600 AM. I repeat, every Friday of the month. Please push like. I repeat, please push like. And we're on YouTube, okay? And we're on the radio. And we are definitely online. So tell people, spread the word that, we're Christian advocates, we're Christian sisters, we're about community, and we're political influencers as well. So therefore, with that being said, Gaynell, you want to say anything in closing?
Sure. Just thank you again for having me here. I appreciate you guys, and keep doing the work that you're doing.
With the help of God, we will continue, because my sister and I are also oblate
associates. And yes, at Our Lady of Guadalupe Catholic Church. And people, we are definitely going to be voting in November. So be aware of that. Be conscious. Contact those campaigns or go to the forums and get informed, because we are political advocates. And know who you're voting for. And again, before you pull that lever, pray. Because there's a lot of stuff that's going on, and we need strong Christian leadership in office. Crystal?
Because many people paid a very dear and high price to even vote. And for us to be the descendants of and not cherish our vote, it doesn't make sense. So we are Christians. For the ones who came before us, they paid, look at your history, they paid a very high price to become registered voters. Please go out and vote when it's time. You can even contact some of these campaigns and ask them to send you some literature over the email, and they will do so.
That is correct.
So God is good. We pray for everyone to be safe, to deal with this hot weather.
Oh, God, it's brutal.
It is. And the utility bills will be brutal. So with the help of God, we will please stay tuned to us on every Friday at 6:30 p.m.
Until 7 p.m. Until the next time, keep the faith. I'm Gwen Smith.
And I am Crystal Smith.
And continue to listen to the Smith Sisters Talk Show on WVOG, 6:30 until 7 p.m. every Friday evening. So push that like button again on that YouTube, and thank you for listening to us.